I'm Holly Constant.
And I'm Maddie Hockaday. We really love Parks and Rec, and we really love behind-the-scenes details.
So we're researching everything from DVD extras like deleted scenes and commentaries,
plus interviewing cast and crew who actually worked on the show.
We also bring on guests and friends to geek out about everything parks.
So join us, you tropical fish.
This is literally the best Parks and Rec rewatch podcast.
We're your park pals.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Park Pals Season 4, Episode 2, Ron and Tammy's Crazy.
Oh, yeah. All the crazy.
It's like so iconic, but it's also so, I don't know, I was just thinking about it, and I feel like it's not, like a lot happens, but I feel like it's a little bit more of a straightforward episode. Like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Well, and we don't have a lot coming off of this. Like, there's been this big buildup for this, right? And this storyline with Tammy 1. And now it's like one episode, one and done, and we're out of it.
Right.
So it's interesting.
Right. It is interesting. Okay, so before we get started on Ron and Tammy's, a couple things. Number one, we have the Patreon. I'm going to say that until we get people.
Every single time.
I'm going to say
it's happening.
You're going to listen because that's what it is. We have a Patreon. Go to the Patreon. It's in our bio, link in bio, whatever the hell people say nowadays. And then number two is that I'm going to post this in our stories because, Maddie already knows this, but I did Parks and Rec trivia over the weekend, on Thursday. Today's Saturday. And there are a couple questions that I'm very intrigued to see if anyone else might know. Not Googling. Don't Google it. But I'm going to see, I don't know, I haven't decided if I want to make it multiple choice or because if I don't make it multiple choice, I feel like people won't write in because I'm sorry, I understand, but we are lazy and no one's going to write in. So I might just have to make it a multiple choice. But one of the questions was, what is Jerry's daughter's name that Chris states? I'm not going to say the answer. And then what are Diane's daughters? And then who got a perfect score on their SAT? All of those, I was like, what? I'm
surprised you didn't remember Jerry's daughter's name.
I was so close, though. I told you what I put down, right?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
Because I put the first part of the name correct, but I got it wrong. It was,
okay.
I'm going to bleep it out. I put.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Would you have gotten points for?
I don't know. Probably not.
Because that's what they call her.
And also, I was really proud of myself because they had what were four lovers of Leslie Knope's. What were the four lovers? And I could not for the life of me remember Justin's name, but I just was, because it was tripping me up that his actual name is Justin Thoreau.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm just going to put it because I really remember Tom saying like J Train or something. It has to be Justin. And luckily I was right.
Good.
And then I was like, well, do we count Will Arnett's character? Because I don't remember his name, but then the last one was
But they
Mark.
weren't lovers.
That's true. Well, it was technically, did I say lovers? It was technically like love interest is what they.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Mm-hmm. I know, it was very specific. Oh, you know what else I got wrong? And I'm not going to put this in the whatever. I think it's in the poll. I just think it's funny. Is that it was what specific part of the body did Ron lose because his brother shot him in the
toe?
Specific part.
Is it his pinky toe?
Yes.
Okay.
I put toenail. I don't understand why that's not right. Like, hello? You should have said which toenail.
Right, which toe.
I guess specific, like they used the word specific and they thought everyone else would get it. But yeah, whatever. But I'm proud of myself for getting, I got a
by
perfect
yourself.
Score. By myself. No one else watched the show, which like I'm really glad that they came. It was really fun. They were like very moral support, like cheering for me every time I got one right. But it was just funny because I will say I don't know those three that I got wrong, except for the toenail one. We have not researched those episodes yet, and I really don't think I would have gotten as I might have, but I don't think I would have been as confident in those questions if it wasn't for this podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I had it on my vision board to get paid for the podcast, and I got a gift card.
And you know what? It counts.
I'm fucking counting it. My dinner was paid for. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Love you so much. So, anyways, I'm very excited about that.
It.
And so if anyone goes to trivia, I would just love to hear any of the other trivia questions, because I think that it's just so interesting to hear like what people don't remember and do remember. Like, oh my God, the SAT score thing really was like, I know this, what I'm going to put isn't right, but what? And when you
texted me and I told you these are the two people I would go for.
Yes, that's
It wasn't based on me remembering it being said. It was, this makes sense, but this would be funny.
Totally. That's exactly what I thought. And I just went with like my best odds.
Yeah.
And because it was such a throwaway line.
Yeah.
So wild. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm going to have fun with that next week. So look for our Instagram stories and I'll post some of those. But anyway, moving on. Okay. So Jasmine Simon, the waitress from last episode in I'm Leslie Knope, did send in those voice memos. Reminder, she's married to Dule Hill from Psych and has an amazing children's book out. So I'm going to go ahead and play her voice memo. And thank you so much, Jasmine, for sending these in. We are so excited.
Hello, everyone. It's Jasmine Simon, and I'm happy to be here answering a few questions about my time on Parks and Recreations in 2011 for the Parks and Recreation podcast. Now, the first question is, how did you get your job on Parks and Recreation? Now, this is going to be a little controversial, but in 2011, I had not yet gotten my fabulous manager, Karen Foreman, or at the time, I didn't have my fabulous agent, Joel King at Pakula King, and I was doing something called casting workshops. And that is when actors like myself that did not have representation or really any, way of getting auditions, since we didn't have representation, we'd pay a small fee and we would go to casting director workshops that were put on by casting directors. So let's just say you would pay $40 and you would get to go into a room and casting would come in and give you sides. And you'd have a few minutes to learn your lines and you would come in and you would act it out for casting. Now, I remember I did that for Parks and Recreations, and the casting director, I think her name was Marlise at the time. Marlise was casting. Nonetheless, she was like, yeah, mainly, we get older civil workers, people that look like they could be civil workers. And I was like in my 20s. And I just remember I was so, disappointed because I thought I'm never going to get a job on Parks and Recs. And she could see that my face was crestfallen, and she started laughing. And she said, that's not that we never get roles for younger people, but in general, it's older people that work in state and local government. So fast forward to a couple weeks later, she emailed me and she said she had an audition for me for a waitress. And I went in and I auditioned, and my one line was, would you like any wine to start? That was my line. That was it. Would you like any wine to start? See, there, I still remember it after all these years. Now, second question is, what was your day like on set? How were Amy Poehler and Adam Scott to work with? They were fantastic. Again, I had one line, but my one line was with them, and we caught the van, which is called a people mover on set, together. It was the three of us in the van, and Amy Poehler and Adam Scott were sitting in the first row and I was in the second row. And I distinctly remember thinking, oh my God, I'm in a van with Amy Poehler and Adam Scott. What is life? And it was just like such a big moment. And they were just, they were regular. They were just normal people. I mean, we were all on our phones texting or looking at stuff online, but they were sweet and gracious, and they were kind, and they didn't have to be. They were the stars of the show, but they were. And that is a testament to how great of people that they were and are. Okay, next question. Do you remember where the restaurant was that you were filming? It was in Santa Clarita. Okay, it was in Santa Clarita. I just remember thinking, we are going very far out. Where are we? And then I was like, well, there's Six Flags, Magic Mountain. Oh, this is where we're at, Santa Clarita. I unfortunately cannot remember the name of the restaurant. It was a real restaurant. It wasn't like a set. But it was in Santa Clarita. And I just remember thinking, well, this looks like we're on a ranch. We're passing ranches. It was just pretty far out. And any other memories from that day? Again, it was, just one line. So I was only there for about 5 hours. And yes, it takes about 5 or 6 hours to get one line. They were lovely. And I remember when I watched the episode when it aired, it was the season opener. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And I felt so fortunate. And every other time that I get to see myself on TV, I still feel that way. So grateful that this is the job that I get to do. So grateful that I get to share the screen with so many wonderful people. And those two people were my first national TV show. And how great is it that it was them? Because they're just phenomenal actors. Now, next question is anything else we can promote for you? Now, I do have a children's book coming out, my second one, called Repeat After Me, Big Things to Say Every Day. And it's a book of affirmations for little people and for the people that read to little people. Everybody needs a reminder about how great they are, how loved they are, how spectacular they are. And so my book, Repeat After Me, Big Things to Say Every Day, hits the stands on May 2nd, 2023, and you can buy the book wherever books are sold. So wherever you like to buy your books, may it be a small local bookstore or Target or Amazon or Barnes & Nobles, wherever you like to get your books, you can get my book. Okay? Thank you so much. And while you're getting my second book, you can also, get my first book, which was Most Perfect You. So 2 books. I'm very proud of them, but not as proud as I am to be on this podcast. Thank you guys for having me, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye.
So sweet.
Oh, she's so cool. Yeah.
She is so cool. I love how well-spoken and confident she sounds about just everything.
Absolutely.
She's been in the game for a while. But yeah, I said that too in our last episode. I was like, oh my God, when I was researching that book, I was like, I need this book too. All of those affirmations are so amazing.
Yeah. I'm so about it. I told Ivan right when we got off the podcast last time, and I was like, I already know what children's books I want when we have kids.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
oh my
ready.
God. And I feel like I if I see it, because there's a small bookstore here that I go to every now and again, and so if I see it in May, or I'll ask them to order it or something, because I'm sure a kid's book, it's not going to be as expensive as a whole ass novel, so I'll definitely purchase that. So I'll post that in the show notes so that people can take a look, and I'll also tag her on Instagram so people can make sure that they follow her. But that's also a really interesting story about how she got the job. I mean, casting director workshops are always just kind of a crapshoot. You just never know if it's going to happen, or if anything's going to happen from that particular session or whatever. Mm-hmm. But also, now that I think about it, I guess it is true that a lot of the people in the office that the guest stars that come into the office are older, older people in the town. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I really like how much she remembered. She remembered a lot.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we do have guests that can't remember specific, which is fair.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
So long ago.
But yeah, she remembered a lot, which was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved how much she remembered that restaurant too. Because that was one of my main questions. It's not main questions, but I love a location breakdown. So that was really nice to hear where it was. And yeah, that's from Studio City, that's probably 45 minutes. So I don't know why they chose that place. Maybe they had I don't know, they just did location scouting or something and found it or whatever. But I'm sure they could have found another one. Maybe it was cheaper too. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I'm glad she remembered that. So thank you, Jasmine. And I love, shout out to her agents and everybody that was, reaching out to me and messaging me back and stuff. That was really nice and very prompt. So, thank you to Jasmine and her agents and team. That was really fun. I'm so glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we've got season 4, episode 2, Ron and Tammy's, directed by Randall Einhorn. We know from The Office, Abbott Elementary, which if you guys haven't started watching that, you need to immediately. It's on Hulu. This was written by Norm Hiscock, who we know and love from the hallway of black and white pictures of men in the hallway when Leslie's standing in the City Hall. And also a producer of Parks and Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Space Force, just a friendly reminder. So, and I have made contact with him. So I am very excited about that because I messaged him a long time ago when he first came up and no one ever messaged me back from his team. And so I followed up. So friendly reminder, go back to your emails and follow the fuck up if you want to have something happen because Or just let it go. That's fine too. But when I saw that no one had responded, I was like, let me just remind you. And then they gave me his email. And so we've been talking back and forth. What?
Let me just sneak back in here real quick.
Yeah. Because like everybody's human. And I just like the mystery of this business is just not worth it to me. So I'm just going to message regardless. Okay. Yeah. There's no bridges burned. But anyway, so I got his email directly, and he said that he's writing on a show right now. I asked him if he could tell me what it is so that we can promote it or talk about it, but I haven't heard anything, so we'll see. But I think we'll probably talk to him later. And also, this is a time for me to tell everyone, too. So he mentioned, bless you.
Sorry, thank you.
No, you're good. He mentioned that maybe May would be good because I said end of April, early May or whatever. And, or no, maybe June or something. Anyway, regardless, then he said May, and I was like, maybe I'll just do one interview in May because my plan is to not do anything for May. And then I responded back and I said no. I mean, I said it in a nice way, but I was just like, actually, I have a show in May and I just don't have I have a couple things going on. So like, let's make it, I'll follow back up in like May maybe, or like early June or something and just see where we can go from there. So to
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because to us, right, this is a huge deal that there are these people that are willing to talk to us about the show, and it's hard to say I have a boundary set for myself. Like, so I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
We're really bad at that. Usually.
Yeah,
getting better.
Definitely am getting better. And I know, and like a lot of times with these, so basically, okay, everyone, we're taking off the podcast for the whole month of May because I'm tired and I need a break. And, but then I was thinking like, if it was just the interview, just getting on and talking, like maybe, and I don't have to edit it or whatever. But then I was like, no, because I'm going to do questions. I'm going to try to like do the social media. Like I just know myself. So I'm just I said that we can do another time, which you can do that. Okay. And like in this business, it's hard because everything happens so fast and like everyone's so busy. So if they say they have a slot available, like you were just saying, like we want to get in there, but no is a powerful word. And this is no disrespect at all to Norm because he's been awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what I've been going through is I can say no and that's fine.
Self-care.
So, yeah. So anyways, so this was written by Norm though, and we are super stoked about, I did ask him some questions just about this episode in particular. So if he messages me back about that, I will do that as a recap next time. But
cool.
So hopefully we get to talk to him though in a couple months. That would be great.
That'd be great.
Okay. I have summary written whenever you are ready.
Perfect. I did a pretty short one. And I feel like the theme for this episode is help. Just going to put that out there. And if you listen to the summary, you'll understand why. Leslie has to step in and help Ron and Tammy 1 and their toxic, weird relationship. Anne tries to help Pawnee with their diabetes epidemic. Ben steps in to give Tom and John Ralphio some financial advice for E720.
Yes, each of those needs help.
Yes.
There are so many deleted scenes in this one, so get ready for that.
That's awesome.
But there's one deleted scene. I wanted to kind of add this, if I can do like a summary part 2 almost like a subtitle from your summary. There's a deleted scene from Ron that I think sums up this episode so well, so or at least his story in this episode. So I'm just going to play that really fast.
Yeah.
I have married 2 spiritually contorted, satanistic pig women in my life. So yeah, I guess you could say I have a type.
I just thought that was so funny because Ron's metaphors are always so beautiful.
Yeah, very touching.
Yes.
Very touching.
Oh my God.
Oh,
but anyway, yes, so get ready for some deleted scenes because there's a lot. But yeah, okay, so we're here. Cold open is Leslie saying the Battle Royale is happening, which is a budgetary Thunderdome. And basically everyone is arguing for more money or for their departments. So everyone makes a list of why every other department sucks, basically. I love that.
I love that that's just what she's asking them to do. Like, I need you to make a list of why everyone else sucks.
Yeah, exactly. That's your job for today. And she says Ron is a secret weapon because he stares them down and basically makes everyone back off and or wet themselves.
The power of Ron.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So then she goes to get Ron, and he has a bunch of IRS stuff just like hanging out on his desk, and like this backpack full of receipts, which like make no sense. But I was thinking about what you said like last episode, or what we were talking about last episode, where like he really should have questioned the like validity of this audit like more.
Yeah.
I feel.
Well, and I asked Ivan about it because being a business, like you deal with taxes, like, and it's more finicky than personal taxes. And I think it's more accurate that you would get audited as a company. He said it's typically pretty rare for you to be audited as a person. And like typically they're going to have some stuff that's tipping them off as to why, right? I mean, he said it can be random, obviously, but like, Ron, if you haven't done anything wrong and you don't trust this woman, why are you just like, yeah, let me fucking do this? Like, call someone else at the IRS and just make sure, you know?
Yeah,
So,
it is very rare, especially like if you have done your tax. If he hasn't done, if he's never done his taxes ever before, which I could see Ron doing, then maybe. But like it sounds like he does it. He just does it begrudgingly, kind of. You know what I mean?
He does it because he doesn't want them to.
Much.
Yeah, no, he doesn't get paid that much. But I think he does his taxes so he doesn't have them coming in and auditing him and getting in his business.
Right. You know? And especially with how little he spends on everything, like this is totally a farce.
Yeah. But I think,
anyways,
it's a good representation of the fact that when the Tammys come back into his life, he doesn't have the logic thought process that he usually does. So I think it's it makes sense. It's stupid, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Because he's totally smart enough to know that Tammy's messing with him and trying to control him, but he doesn't like question it, like you said, with the logic. But I do love this line that she says, and I've repeated this line so many times. It's just so funny. You could go to jail, Ron. Jail, Ron. Ron, jail. You could go to jail. Are you broken? Jail.
I love that this always reminds me of undercooked chicken, straight to jail. Straight to jail.
Oh, yeah.
Straight
Totally. Oh, my God. Fred Armisen. Great one.
So call back,
Yeah, that sound or whatever people have been using a lot on like TikTok and stuff too that I've seen.
Yeah.
So it's really funny.
Yeah. That's a good time.
Yes. Well, Leslie calls Andy and April in to help, and Andy proves our point in the last episode that he is not going to be amazing at being a self-starter or being an assistant because she asks for a calculator and he brings her a Rolodex.
Yes. Yeah. I like that she doesn't like clarify for him that he got the wrong thing. She just looks at him and says calculator. And he leaves again.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, he's trying, right? He was quick about it. But
totally.
It's
God.
it's just funny to me. This filing system too that Ron has where he's pouring out from the bag like all these receipts. First of all, is dumb and not good. But I think it's a correlation between I didn't think about it until I was just reading my note about it. It was like there's a correlation between Ron and his lackluster filing situation and Tom and his lazy don't care about anything about the books over on his side of things.
Yeah.
So
they have some stuff in common.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for now, like Tom is just overspending and Ron is underspending, but they just don't really care about either one of them.
Yeah. No.
So that's funny. Did you notice April's shirt? I thought that you might notice her wardrobe since we've been focusing on that a little bit, but it seems so bright for her, and I wonder if it's like showing her growth in like a little bit. Maybe it's just subtle. Maybe it wasn't meant to do this, but like this episode for sure. Last episode we talked about her hair being a little sleeker and like her looking a little mature. But this episode, her wardrobe is becoming more vibrant and it seems more professional and more lively. And I was like, is this like maybe a correlation that she's happier with Andy? Like, I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, I think let's track it over the next couple episodes because I think it probably is more attitude wise. I think she's always been happy with Andy. Not to say that she couldn't be happier, but I think if anything, she's growing into like more of an adult. But yeah, I didn't take a note on it, but you're right. Now that I'm thinking back to it, she does wear brighter clothes in this episode.
I feel like she's just coming into her own now that she's been with Andy and like starts showing this love towards him that she's putting out to everyone else now.
That's accurate.
and herself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think, anyway, I don't know, whatever, but it was interesting to me.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too psychologically challenging for some people's brains, but I just overthink everything.
No, but I think it's a valid point, right? Because April has this like
gothic thing going on.
And she never dressed like that. But she never dressed in like bright colors either, like really in your face, like patterns and stuff like that. So it's a change for sure.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm at where Tom is meeting with Ben, and Ben thinks it's like a validation of friendship, which I have a qualm with him thinking that they were ever friends, because when he says like, we've developed this really cool relationship, number one. But number two, Tom, you fucking suck. I was so mad at him.
I'm really mad at Tom because he's so obviously using him. And it's so manipulative. This whole interaction is really manipulative.
Wait, you know what we haven't used in a while? Sleazy Tom. Thank you, Riverside .fm, for letting me have these media files up here that I can play any fucking time.
That's very nice. Very nice. Yeah.
But yeah.
It's like sleazy in a different way, but for real.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. It's like sleazy every step of the way.
Yeah.
But like, okay, so basically the reality is that Tom wants Ben to look at some documents for him for Entertainment 720. And I just don't love that Tom is calling him a nerd, even though he's asking for help and like saying that thing of like, it's almost too easy. And Ben's like, I can hear you. And he's like, that's how easy it is.
So
and I'm just
disrespectful.
Like, I'm gonna punch you in the head.
Yeah.
And I understand that this is like the vibe of Tom, and Aziz plays it so well. He's super, it's super comedically
He really makes you
funny.
hate him.
But I'm just like, oh my God, I hate you. But also like, I don't know. I go back and forth sometimes too, because Ben, like, stand the fuck up. Don't even, like, what are you doing? And he does by the end. He does by the end.
Yeah.
But I just think it's so funny that he says, like, we've developed this cool relationship. And I guess to Ben, maybe he thinks he has, because he hasn't really had like super close friends throughout his life or something. But I was like, what friendship, bro?
Yeah, I think in my head, right, this is where I got from, and I think you're right? They're not like buddy like Ben and Chris
Tom
are.
made him think that.
Yeah, well, that's part of it, right? Is Tom makes him think that way. When Leslie and Ben couldn't be together, like earlier on, right? He invited him to the Snake Hole Lounge. Like, he put effort into including him into the group. So I think Ben has now broken up with Leslie.
Yeah.
And his lifeline in the parks department is now Tom.
That's true.
And so you think about if you are feeling like vulnerable emotionally, or you feel like you've lost someone, you grab onto that next person because you're like, I need to feel something again.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's what Tom is to him. I don't think it's rational for Ben, right? Because they're not really close. But to him, he's like, I don't have my person here anymore.
Yeah.
And Tom just asked me to hang out.
Yeah.
Like, okay, here's my chance to have my friends still. I think, and that's kind of more where I'm seeing it come from.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Listen, the subtitle of our podcast is also therapy too. So there are a lot of therapy moments that we are seeing, and I think that is totally valid.
Yes, accurate. And I love
knew
this
what you
piece of
signed
it.
up for.
Yeah, you definitely did. Well, this is not a new conversation we're having today.
But I think that's a great perspective. That's true, because he doesn't really have anyone else. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we think about it, right? This is the first episode since he's broken up with Leslie, and there's no interaction between him and Leslie in the entirety of this episode, which I think is very intentional.
Totally. Oh my God, that's so true. Well, Tom asks him to look at break-evens, and according to investopedia.com, break-even yield is the point at which the money which the sale of a product or service brings in is equal to the cost of marketing the product or service. A financial institution realizes no profit or loss at the break-even point. I did not further Google because I don't care. I also was so confused. I was like, if I start a business, I'll do my research or hire somebody, because this is so jibber jabbery. But I understand it at the end of the day. Break even. You break even from what you've spent.
You've spent what you've made, but you make as much as you've spent. So you're not profiting anything, right? That's what a break even is. But the break-even analysis table also goes into how are we going to break even? So the way Ivan explained it to me is like, if we're going to make 20 tacos, we have to pay payroll for one person and then also for this much food. So this is how much we can have to sell to like, right. And then it's like, it breaks it down. Okay, now we have to make 500 tacos. Now we have to hire more people and pay more. And like, it's all the little pieces that come together too.
Yeah, which I think is like, it reminded me of The Office a little bit when you were talking about that, when they Michael Scott Paper Company goes in to talk about the like their budget and like the fixed variable versus the moving variable or whatever they called it, because Ryan was like, no, but like it's fine, but you don't think about like the overhead as you grow and grow and grow and grow, your overhead's also going to grow, which is really interesting to me. But my question here was like, who gave Tom these break evens? Like, was it because he was filing taxes? Like, how did he even know about this?
So my thought process was right here. So this is what's crazy to me, because when we started here, when he first had the idea for even Entertainment 720, it was still a shit idea because he didn't pinpoint one thing to be good at, but he had a business plan. Yeah. Like he was doing the legwork on the back end. And now he doesn't know where the books are, which we'll get to later, which what and how?
Baby, get the books, baby.
Yeah. And I don't think he has a break-even analysis. Like I think it's one of those other accountants that maybe created one for him.
Yeah.
Like maybe. I don't know. How do you not know where the books are, but you're able to do a break-even analysis?
Yeah. That's what I was confused about. I was like, okay. So yeah, I guess like the 5 other accountants potentially. But see, like the way that I took it was like the 5 other accountants were after Ben because they wanted to get a second opinion.
Yeah, no, and that's the way I took it too. So I don't know where.
Maybe he did his own research, like in one of the like 15-minute increments that he worked in or whatever, and was like, okay, well, maybe I should try this.
Yeah, that's very real.
I could see him doing that versus John Ralphio. That's for damn sure. So
John Ralphio's doing nothing.
Oh my god,
he's doing nothing.
Well, so if you guys have any information about break-evens, I can't say that I will care, but I will read it.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's really great that Ben likes it. I mean, those people that actually really enjoy accounting and math and all that stuff, I have so much respect because my brain is not that. Woof.
Yeah. No.
But anyway, yeah, so Tom's a dick, whatever. There was a deleted scene. It's really funny. I think it was improvised, honestly, or most of it. I can't tell. But let me just play it. It's right after this scene here.
Let's hit it. Okay, what is that? Why do you keep doing that?
What? My new noise. You don't have a noise?
I don't have a noise.
It's a good way to brand yourself. Always have a noise you make whenever you come into a room. That way people know it's you.
Okay, what noise?
Mine is... I do it whenever I stand up and whenever I walk into a room.
All right. Well, I feel like you've done it enough, though, with me just for today.
You know what your noise is?
What? All right.
Do that whenever you leave a room.
How about this? How about this noise? How about when I walk into a room, I go...
Let's go.
I have so many thoughts on this. Number one is that at the end of that, if you were watching it, if you have the deleted scenes, at the end when they're leaving, they both are clearly like breaking, and Aziz is kind of just like, what's going on? This is weird. So I don't know if Adam Scott did made up the noise on his own, but it totally sounds like a Star Wars blaster, like choo choo choo, and that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounded like to me.
It's so cute, but also the last thought was that that line is really funny. Like that when people know who you are, it's just like, but they see your face.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that line is really funny. But anyway, so that was the one of many deleted scenes. And also kind of shows it's not a good friendship, but it definitely shows their banter back and forth, I guess. So maybe that's what Ben's talking about. It helped me rationalize anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Not enough, but anyway.
No.
Okay. So now we're going over Ron's receipts if you're there.
Yes. And
okay.
Some of them aren't even receipts, apparently.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So they're saying they need to go over every tax deduction, make sure they have proof of it. But they're like Post-its or pictures, which is so weird because, like, why even write those down if they're not like official? Like,
yeah. Well, and if you're making notes about that, like what you spent, why you spent the money, at least for businesses, and you're saving the receipt, you have to save the actual receipt still, and then write on the back why you did it.
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you can't just write it on a Post-it.
Well, what's funny is that, yeah, totally. What I do now is like, no one's going to come after me because, again, I'm not making that much money. But like, I'll write off like on my taxes, like music stuff, acting stuff, like if I buy like lighting or whatever. And even for the podcast, like when I've bought mics or like all this, you know, stuff that we have to pay for. But like I have at least like my bank statement. But now that I'm thinking of it, Ron doesn't really have a bank statement, does he? Because he pays in like gold and handshakes. So he can't really prove it. So maybe that's why he has to write it down. And it's just so funny to me because I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Copper pipe and a half pig is what Ron
half pig.
got in He got in exchange for making this table for the man in the picture. So that was a currency.
There's no clarification around what half of the pig or how he received the pig.
Right.
You know?
Was it cooked?
So I'm like,
was it just slaughtered?
I don't know. Gross.
Oh my God. I know. This $140 every month for shotgun shells and cigarettes to send back to his mom is cute. And I like that both of them have like the like I feel like throughout the episode they either one of the characters, either I think this one was April and Leslie or maybe it was Andy, that was like aw, and then the other one will say it in a like kind of way, you know. I like that little juxtaposition there.
Yeah, it's Andy and Leslie in this one.
Okay,
I have it written down because it's hilarious to me.
Yeah, totally. I love this talking head. I feel like it's one of the best ones that he has, and Nick Offerman does it so well with that pause at the end when he says, oh, I just did a big P. Sorry, guys. I love that pause after he says his mom, like he's married to Tammy, and his mom's name is Tamara, whatever. She goes by Tammy. Yeah. It's so good.
It's good. And I dive in later. Like I want to psychoanalyze this.
Me too.
Because a strong, independent, self-motivated, self-thought person like Ron is falling to the knees of these women like that. And I'm like, oh, something happened.
Something went awry. I will say, just having come from like a super small town like Ron, sometimes if you don't get out of that town, there are limited options. And that's just it. I'm sorry to say it because sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But like, that's the answer. It's like there's only a limited amount of people that you can choose from, and especially if they've been in your life forever, it's just like, oh, maybe like it could work out.
Well, and that's fair, right? I don't think it's necessarily that I'm against him trying to date either of these people. Maybe Tammy one because of gross stuff,
I'm against both of them. He should not be with either of them.
Well, yeah, he shouldn't be with either of them. I'm saying more.
I'm against trying too.
Yeah, I understand coming from a small town that those might have been his options, right? But the part of it that's toxic to me is who he becomes in those relationships. Totally. And I don't think they're good people either, right? But I think the biggest issue is Ron isn't Ron. Yeah. When he's with these people. It
totally sounds like that whole thing of like, what is it, the Oedipus complex or whatever, where you're trying to emulate your mom or your dad each time. Because it sounds like his mom is a strong woman. He was raised by a strong woman. So he finds it very powerful and attractive when he can kind of, mirror that in his relationships. And then he can, he just is. It's so interesting though. I love how he changes so opposite to each Tammy. Like, I think that
because they're very different
such great
women.
Writing.
Yeah, I think it's great.
It's so interesting.
Which is why I think it would be fascinating to dive into why does he have different reactions to these people, but also like it really makes me think that Tammy 1 took on a really big mothering role with him.
Absolutely.
Very, very early on. And maybe more so than even his mom did.
Maybe.
because his mom, I mean, Tammy one seems standoffish too, right? They both seemed like they weren't the huggy, kissy parents, you know?
Right.
But I think he might have just been getting something from Tammy one that he wasn't getting from his mom.
Yeah. That's true too.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially like going back to what he was saying about how he literally had, like, he taught her, or she taught him so much. Like, she literally birthed him. She was a candy striper. That's where the all comes in. Both. And then she taught Sunday school, sex, like all the things. I wrote it down, but I don't know where it is. I think it's a little bit later.
We're not there yet. I jumped.
No, it's all good. But yeah, totally.
Oh,
well, now we're at where Anne is showing Chris an old PSA for the health department. The character name I thought was so funny. The character name with the little name tag on the desk is Walt Morphling. What Anne says it too, but I thought that was so hilarious. And he says one of the ways you can stay healthy and try to fight diabetes is by exercising and praying.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That sounds accurate for the timeline.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And yes, totally.
What was I going to say? I love the little addition of if you hear his voice goes down, like the tape is destroyed. Like that's how old it is. I really like that addition. I thought it was really clever detail.
Totally. And like the little lines going across the tape it's been destroyed and it's so old. I think that's great. Walt Morphling is played by the actor Robert McCrae. I think he's retired because the last thing he did was Parks. This was his last thing that I saw on IMDb. He could be doing commercials still, but he's also 78, so I would not think that it would be weird if he was not doing this anymore because that's a long career. But I did find his email and I reached out and I told him how great he was and I asked him if he had any memories, so we'll see if he gets it or messages back. But either way, I think he was really hilarious.
Yeah, it was well done. I like that this addition on the side here.
Yeah, totally. So now Anne is saying that Chris should do this PSA. We should do a new one because he's healthy and telegenic. But then she kind of realizes that she's made a mistake because Chris goes off the deep end with ideas and wardrobe ideas. He starts naming Spice Girls. Like, oh God, baby.
So, yeah, I was like sitting there and I was like, I have never related to Chris. Maybe the exercising stuff, but I'm not as crazy as him. But I get a lot out of it. But I was like, I've never really related with him. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is me. When I get an idea, I start worrying and asking questions about 5 million things. And Ivan has to say, we don't even have that issue to worry about yet. Or we're not even there yet. I get really excited. But then I was thinking, this is actually a trait that Leslie has too. And that's why
I've noticed
that's
that
why
too.
I relate
totally
with it.
wrote that. Yeah, they both are have their moments here. Like they're mirroring each other's characters for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought that was interesting.
Totally. So. And it's like in different ways, you know, which I think they did such a good job of doing because like Chris handles it differently than Leslie would, but they're both in the same vein of like being so excited and like steamrolling a little.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Tom takes Ben back to E720 if you're ready for that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
This is where we see Roy Hibbert because Talia, the receptionist, messaged us voice memos in the last episode that she was in and she talked about Roy Hibbert being there and I was like, wait, what? But it was in this episode because I remember she saying she might have been conflating the two. But I did message her. She hasn't messaged me back yet, but I did message her and ask if she like has any other memories she'd like to share. But I think she covered a lot of it. So she did
had a lot of good information.
I did notice that she I'm kind of skipping ahead a bit, but I did notice those brown or gray boots or whatever that she was wearing, and I was like, "Oh my God, those might have been the ones that said she was wearing at the audition," and they really are great for her character.
Yeah, I love her whole outfit and her whole attitude and everything. It's so
oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. Like all her facial expressions and everything. It's so good.
Yeah.
Tom is again being a dick, like saying "shut your mouth" to Roy fucking Hibbert. Stop it.
Like, he doesn't need you.
No.
Like, just because the NBA is on strike doesn't mean he needs you. He does not need you.
Yeah. Okay,
like,
I did a medium deep dive on the NBA strike because I had no idea, and I'm sure you did. You knew.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. But go for it.
Well, I mean, a medium tiny one. Okay, so just about like the different contracts and stuff. So, okay, the NBA was due for a renewal of the contract between the NBA, which is owners, players, etc., and etc. is what I mean, and the CBA, which is the Collective Bargaining Association. So, them two have to come to an agreement, apparently. But the lockout was started by the owners on July 1st, 2011, and this aired September 2011.
Yep.
And so the lockout was when the teams couldn't trade, sign, or contract players or contact players. And players could not access NBA team facilities, trainers, or staff. And then negotiations resumed August 1st, bargaining session. But it all fell apart after 3 hours. So they were like in talks and all these stuff for 3 hours. And then they were like, fuck it, we're locking it down. And that's like... Yep. That's as far as I went, but it sounds really like intense, just like writer strikes and a bunch of strikes and stuff. So it's crazy.
It lasted quite a bit of time. I do believe it ended before the season started. But when
does basketball season start again?
I think it's like September.
Okay.
Basketball's probably the sport I know the least about, but it's typically around the same timeline.
I thought football was like more fall sport, and then
So basketball and hockey start in like the fall and they end in the summer. At least hockey does. Hold on.
So there's some overlap there between football and basketball seasons, probably.
And hockey.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Which is why, if you remember, TD Garden was used for the Celtics and the Bruins. Right. And so they had to be very strategic about their schedule because they have to put the ice out and shit.
That's so insane to me.
Yeah.
Can't imagine how much that takes.
Let's see. Sorry. Now I want to know what months are the best basketball season. October to April.
Okay.
But then the playoffs and everything can sometimes go into June because I remember being in Boston and watching the playoffs and the finals in June.
Okay. Okay. So this makes sense.
Yeah.
So since this aired in September, the thing it started in July and then they did their bargaining session August 1st, the thing that lasted 3 hours, then it all fell apart. And so the next month is when Roy Hibbert is like, okay, I guess I'll take this motherfucking job because I don't have a paycheck coming in.
Right. Yeah.
But that's crazy that they got him and Detlef. That's so wild to me. Yeah. Because like we've talked about, I mean, I resent it a tiny bit, but I also it's just factual that Parks wasn't as big of a deal like back in 2011 when it was out. And so the fact that they got them and had the money to get them, or maybe they just bargained, I don't know. But so do you think that Roy Hibbert was was he retired at this point? Because my question is, where was he actually on strike? Or was he actually?
I believe he
not
was
able to play, and that's why he was able to get on the show.
Yeah, because here's my thing. Because Tom says that he's only 36. He could still be fucking playing.
Yeah,
he's young. So the big thing is Tom says we're paying him 75% of his NBA salary, which would mean he was still playing at the time of the lockout.
Or would it just mean what he used to get paid before the lockout?
He retired in 2017.
Okay, so he was still playing.
And he's coaching now. He coaches the 76ers now.
I was going to say 36 is kind of old for sports, unfortunately. It's young in real life.
It is. Yeah, you're right. There are certain sports where you still have 36-year-olds playing. But it's but
then they slow down and their knees start breaking.
Oh, yeah.
Your whole body is just dying.
Well, and you have to look at the sport, right? So
yeah.
And the position, because a football player who's a wide receiver or a lineman, somebody who gets hit a lot, right? Mm-hmm. They're not playing as long. They're playing until in the early 30s, if that, sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas Tom Brady can play till he's 40 because he just throws the ball, right? Mm-hmm. So it's different for each sport for sure. So, and then hockey, right? Chara, who was the Bruins defender, remember we saw him play together because he was the guy who's 6'9" or something. They have to hand make his hockey stick because they don't make them long enough. But he played until he was 41 or something. Wow. It was ridiculous. So it depends on the person, the sport, the position, all that shit.
That's true.
He played, Roy Hibbert played for the Pacers during this episode. So that was an accurate statement that he was a Pacers player during that time.
Right. Okay. So he must have been on the actual strike then?
Yeah.
Depending
they all were.
Yeah. Because
So,
they probably filmed this like maybe a month or something before it aired.
Yeah.
So, wow. Okay. Wow. Bringing real life into the show as we always do. Okay, great.
yeah, which
Thank
I
you
like.
for listening to that sports deep dive. Sorry if you needed to fast forward. That's fine.
That's fine. I hope you liked it though, because this is what's interesting to me.
It is interesting. Well, I mean, as far as parks go, I'm not interested in
Yeah.
sports necessarily, but I am interested in like learning about it. You
Yeah,
know, that
well,
lockout
and
sounds
how it
wild.
links in. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's happened in almost every sport. I feel like at this point.
Yeah.
It's happened in baseball for sure too.
Yeah.
Well,
John Ralphio immediately goes wild, saying Ben's name should be Angelo. Get a thicker tie because it makes his head look weird or whatever. And it also, like, John Ralphio's chest hairs are like totally just on display in this episode. And I was like, oh my God, because he doesn't really usually wear like lower cut shirts. But
Yeah.
I think now he's like getting more comfortable. Like, I'm
I'm the boss.
casual. I'm the boss. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
yeah.
But then he changes Ben's name to Jello Shot, which stays because
Yep.
Jello Shot is definitely referenced later in the series.
Yep. J shot.
J Shot, yep. I do
Yep.
love that. I think this is such a funny line that they don't like pens because it'll leak on their shirt. It's so stupid.
Yeah. That is. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
just them. I feel like
Mhm.
accurate. But
Yeah.
yeah. Oh gosh.
And Ben's being like the straight man saying like what everyone else is thinking, like, what is this place? Like, where
are
even
we?
am I? You know?
Yeah. Well,
And then
we
this is where Talia comes back in.
yeah, and she's telling us she makes $100,000 a year plus medical, which, oh my gosh, like is ridiculous. And then like Tom says, he's paying Roy 75% of his NBA salary, which I looked it up, and I looked it up for this year, right? So let's be
Oh, sure. Yeah.
but the average NBA salary is $9.6 million.
What?
Not a year. Right. Usually that's a contract for like 3 seasons or whatever.
Oh,
still
okay.
still a
But
fuck ton of money.
still!
Yeah, it's still a
Oh
fuck
my
ton of money.
God.
But 75% of that would be 7.2 million. So I don't really think that's a
Oh.
deal, Tom. I think
God.
yeah.
I'm so glad you looked that up. That is the kind of deep dive shit I'm talking about where I'm just like, oh my God, that is so interesting to have that tangible number and Tom being like, yeah, we got a deal. What?
Yeah. And then all those other people are getting paid upwards, as Ben says, upwards of $100,000 a year with all these benefits, right? And this is one of my favorite lines from Ben, especially the way Adam Scott presents it, right? He says,
Yes.
if my calculations are correct, they'll be bankrupt by the end of this sentence.
Yes.
Accurate.
So accurate.
That's which
Wow.
is so sad because I think a part of us as an audience here and seeing Tom that his passion wasn't in the parks department, we really wanted to see him succeed here.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want him to anymore. You're like,
Yeah.
you're being so dumb about this.
Yeah. And he's also being kind of a dick. So
He is
I'm
being
like,
a dick.
okay, well, you can just like go
Yeah.
bankrupt, I guess.
He's absolutely being a dick. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And then after he says that line, someone comes up to offer Ben a drink, which is hilarious because I kind of wrote down some of the things I was seeing, which we kind of see a little bit in the tag when Ben is like doing that same thing. But I didn't realize someone is roller skating behind them. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then there's a bar behind them that like 3 people are at, and they're probably being paid to be there, like
Yeah.
sitting at the bar getting a drink.
Yeah.
And then they have multiple like caterers and stuff.
Yeah.
So this guy that comes in to give Ben champagne, like he's a waiter or whatever, I totally thought it was Greg Wurswick because Greg is, on IMDb anyway, is labeled as waiter. And I messaged him. I reached out to his agent and he was so kind and sent amazing voice messages. But I did double check. I was like, wait a second, was that you? Because you look so different, which he'll mention in the voice memos. But no, that wasn't him. His scene was actually cut. I don't know where that dude is, which is really funny because he's the guy that's actually in the show. Oh, there's Phoebe. Is not listed on IMDb. At least I couldn't find them. So, anyways, but yeah, it's funny because Greg says that in his voice memos too. Like, wonder where that guy is. Anyway, Greg, though, is on a UCB team. Or, sorry, not UCB. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Greg. Greg is on a Groundlings team right now. He will talk about the shows that he is in that you can go check out if you're in LA. But he was also in Curb Your Enthusiasm, American Housewife, Fresh Off the Boat. Like, he's a Superstore. He's done a bunch of stuff. He's also a comedian, obviously, producer, writer, all the things. And I personally, I usually play the deleted scene that people got cut from. So his scene was deleted, if I didn't say that already. But I could not, for the life of me, find this deleted scene. I don't think it was on the DVDs, which I am so sorry to say. I think, which, you know, from the voice memos, it sounds like it was super duper short. And this deleted scene thing was so long with like stuff they cut from the main people, like main cast or whatever. So anyway, I don't care. I told Greg, I was like, I'm an actor. I get it. Everybody deserves to have their time. So I'm glad that he sent it. He sent his voice memos in. So let me just go ahead and play that for you. And yeah, thanks, Greg.
I also just want to say thanks for having me on. It's been fun to reflect my small and strange experience on Parks and Rec. I was honestly surprised to hear from you because I was actually cut out of Parks and Rec. I had a very small role as a waiter, and my scene was scrapped in the editing room. And you know, my experience on set and like the whole experience itself was like really positive, really fun. And then when I watched it on TV, and of course I had friends over to like watch my big debut on this show that I loved. The lesson there is never do that. Yeah, when it came out on TV, I was just nowhere to be found. And so that was tragic, but the whole experience leading up to that was great. And so then now, many years later, when I got your email, about this podcast and about recounting my experience on Parks and Rec, I was kind of like, wait a second, didn't I get cut out from that? So how did they find me? And I guess maybe I'm credited on IMDb or maybe in the actual show, like at the end credits or something, or I don't know. I think I am listed as like a person in the episode, and I certainly got paid for it. So there's that, but it's just funny because one of your questions was to do with a different waiter in the episode. I think you said something like, you look so different. Like, I just want to make sure that was you in the Adam Scott scene. And it definitely wasn't. That episode had two different waiters in it. One was this blonde guy who was definitely not me, who was passing out flutes of champagne at the Jean Ralphio like event space. So I'm curious where that guy is now. You know, what's he up to? But anyway, yeah, I had this tiny role as a waiter in a different scene, with Patricia Clarkson playing Tammy 1 and Amy Poehler, of course, playing Leslie. And Ron was there in that scene too, although he wasn't at the table where I was interacting with them. But yeah, I think the scene was so small and so like unnecessary to the story that it was eventually scrapped. Or who knows, maybe I was just so awful that they couldn't put me on TV. I definitely don't feel like that was the case. I think my day on set was like very, very fun, and everyone was very nice, and the director, you know, had nice things to say at the end of it. So I don't think I did a horrible job, but you never know, I guess. I've been cut out of stuff before, and it's always sad, but it, you know, usually makes sense. Like, I've played a lot of really small roles, like host, waiter, bellboy, whatever, in various comedy projects, and I've had a number of things get cut, and I think I've just learned not to take it personally, because some of those times I have felt like I've done a bad job, but other times I think it was just like, oh, we don't really need to see, you know, X, Y, and Z interacting with this hotel manager for longer than like 2 seconds. Anyway, I don't need to explain how things work in TV shows. It was a great time, though. I auditioned for the part, just like, you know, normally happens. I think it's funny to reflect on it now, because a one-liner like that, certainly in this day and age, it would be like you send in a tape for it. You don't go in physically in person to do that audition. But at that time, in 2011, I did drive across town to go to Dorian Frankel's office. She cast the show, I think, from season 2 onward. And I had auditioned for her a number of times for various things, Veep, Parks and Rec, a couple of different roles, actually. Other comedy things. I perform at the Groundlings, so I think she's a person that casts a lot of things that are like in that vein. She's a lovely person, so she had me in to read for this waiter role, and I don't really remember too much about the audition because it was so long ago and because it was so small. It was just one line. The line was like, anything else for you today? So there wasn't too much like, you could really do with that. I think she let me do it a couple of times, and I feel like she probably let me improvise, because that's usually the name of the game with shows like Parks and Rec. And so I did it. There was just one audition because, obviously for a role like that, they don't need like callbacks or like producers to like weigh in and give you notes and stuff. So I did it. And then a few days later, I found out that I got it, and I was so excited. Parks and Rec was like one of those shows that I had just been an avid fan of, like everyone. And since it was season 4, I'd been watching it for years at that time, and I was just like so excited I would get to join the world of Pawnee and Leslie Knope and everything. And so pumped. Also, I had just been like a huge Amy Poehler fan, again, like everyone else in this world. I think I was of that era where she hit on SNL at like the perfect time for me. Like, it was when I was like a teenager, I guess. And her sketches were just so magical for me, and I just loved watching her. And so she was one of the people that like inspired me to do sketch and get into the world of comedy in general and Hollywood and blah blah blah. So it was like one of those really exciting moments where I was like, I'm gonna get to meet this person that sort of like changed my life. So yeah, looking at the call sheet and seeing Amy Poehler, Patricia Clarkson, Megan Mullally, Nick Offerman, like it was just really crazy. So yeah, so there wasn't that much to do to prepare, obviously, like just show up on set really early and get into your waiter outfit and kind of wait around to be called into this restaurant. It was somewhere in the Valley. It was like Valley Village or something. But I do remember that morning, I got to set and they invited me to the hair and makeup trailer, and I got in there and the door opened, and the first thing I saw was Amy Poehler getting her makeup done and sort of going over her sides. And I audibly gasped. I couldn't hold it in, I was just so taken. And she very sweetly laughed and introduced herself and, patted the seat next to her and invited me to sit down, and we chatted a little bit. And I, of course, immediately, I'm not normally like this, I guess, but she was just so like important to my trajectory as a comedian and all of it that I felt like, I don't know, this is my opportunity to like tell her like thank you, and I'm a huge fan basically. And so I just like did a little verbal diarrhea at her. I was just like, I love you so much or something like that, or like I don't know what I said exactly, but it was like something like, I'm such a huge fan and I'm so excited to get to work with you and blah blah blah. It was like a few lines of that, and then she kind of laughed and was like, and what's your name, sweetie? Because I'd forgot she introduced herself as Amy Poehler, and then I just went blah 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 blah. So it was very nice of her. She really didn't need to be that generous with me, I guess. And I only say that because like we sat down, we chatted like normal people. She was asking me about my life and about my stuff at the Groundlings, and she just didn't have to do that. She could have buried her head in her sides, or she could have just ignored me, or she could have responded to my verbal diarrhea with a blank stare, and I'm like, oh my God, this kid is so annoying. But yeah, it was like early on in my career, and I was obviously very nervous and very green, and she was just like sweetly kind of laughing and putting me at ease and making me feel comfortable and like welcoming me into the world. And I'll never forget that. Like she was one of those people that was very kind to me, and she didn't need to be, certainly. And I was very scared to meet her because it's like one of those don't meet your heroes type thing. I was afraid she wouldn't live up to the hype in my mind, and she really did. She exceeded it. She was so nice, and everybody says that about her. I think that's just how she is. But it was really, really nice to see, and she really put me at ease. And so I'll never forget that. Shooting the scene was really easy. It was very quick. It was just this one tiny exchange in this restaurant, and there were a lot of extras like buzzing around and stuff, but the director was really nice, and everyone was really sweet. And I think Amy, like in between takes, was like, you're doing a great job. Like, again, just so supportive. And all in all, I think it took, I don't know, like 4 takes or something. Like, it was very quick. And then that was it. And I just like got to go home and got to go, wow, I just did Parks and Rec. And that felt like fun and good. And, even though I had one stupid line, like I got to do it with some heavy hitters and they were all really nice to me. And I felt very like a part of their world. Yeah. So sucked to have gotten cut out of it, but I'll always have that little like private experience. It was overwhelmingly positive. Big shout out to Amy Poehler for being nice and being a real human and just delivering. I guess that's all I can say about that. My socials, I'm Greg Warswick on Instagram and Twitter. GregWorswick. I'm in a new main stage show at the Groundlings right now, doing sketch and improv. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I hope that was helpful in some way. Thanks.
Yay! Yes, awesome. Thanks so much, Greg. We really appreciate it. You sending in those voice memos, even though you technically weren't in the show, you are still a Pawnean in our hearts forever and always. And it's always just so nice to hear about the amazing, love, queen, mother, god of everything that Amy Poehler is. So I'm so happy that you talked about that. But yay. Okay, thanks, Greg. And I'll definitely tag you in all of the... I'll tag Greg in all of the show notes and Instagram and stuff, so go ahead and follow him if you're in LA to go check out his Groundling show. Okay, moving on. Now we're at where the whole thing of like we learn that Tammy 1 helped deliver Ron, and this is the oh my god reactions, not awe, but the like Andy's like oh my god, and Leslie's like oh my god. Jinx.
It's disgusting. Yeah.
And he only spent $40 on clothes in the last 5 years.
Okay. I'm going to be completely real with you.
Yeah.
I relate with that so hard.
Yeah.
I do not spend money on clothes. I have shit in my closet from high school that I still wear. Yeah. It's, my mom is like, I'm like, Mom, one day when I have an extra $100 just lying around, I would love to go buy myself some new shoes or love to have something that's in this fashion season. But that's just not where if I have extra money right now, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going out to eat or I'm going to a concert or whatever, right? Like it's not where my priorities are. So I get that. $40 is a little low over 5 years.
For 5 years?
Yeah, for 5 years. Like I would say maybe 40 to 80 a year is what I would spend.
Yeah.
But not over 5 years is ridiculous.
Yeah. I actually just started trying to be a little bit better about it, about like getting new clothes. And by getting new clothes, I mean like there's a strict budget for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I can't spend like a bajillion dollars on it. But I've noticed, and this is a little deep dive on Holly's last couple years, but my body is changing. And I thought it was done changing, but it's not. And I'm so frustrated because like maybe it's because I've been working out more, but even so, it's like, my body's not getting smaller. It's like the whole composition of my body is just like changing. Like shirts don't fit my shoulders anymore, or like there's certain parts of like that will fit my like waist, but like the butt is too small or big, or like it's so weird. And I think I might have said this to you. I don't know if I said this to you, but it truly felt like when Spider-Man like takes off or like puts on his glasses the next morning after he's been bit and it's blurry and he's like, what's going on? That's how it felt with my clothes. I was like, what the fuck is happening? And so I actually just went to Torrid, like, was it last weekend? Because I had we didn't record the podcast last weekend, so I had like some time, and I thought to myself, I was like, interesting, I wanted a pair of jeans, and I feel like in the mood. That's a thing too, and I don't know if you're similar. You have to be, for me personally, and a lot of people, you have to be in the right mood to go shopping, because some people just love perusing, and it's like really fun for them. My aunt loves this. I cannot do that.
I can't
have to be in the right mood, mindset, know that it's not going to be like super mega easy. It's just going to be what it is, and you have to be willing to spend some time there. So I went to Torrid because I've been wanting some jeans, and I put it on my credit card because I didn't have the money at the time, but I was like, this is a necessary thing because I have no jeans. I don't feel confident. I hate looking at these. And so I got some jeans and like a blazer. Oh my God, this blazer is so nice. It's like soft and silky, and I just like felt so good about it. So I got that. And a couple of like other little random things and like a dress or whatever. And the thing for me is like, number one, yes, it's expensive. You have to budget for it. But number two, like my body type, and I think everybody can relate to this to some degree, but especially my body type, not a lot of stores have my size because I'm a size 16 or 18. And it's so, I mean, this is just, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but that's just like the world, the society. Like, it's so othering to not have this, or like, I have to go to a specific fucking store so that I can try on what everyone else can just randomly try on. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And also, it's not just like bigger girls. It's also like people that are taller, or people that like the sizes run shorter. So you think that you're like gaining weight or you're fatter, when really it's just like the sizing is fucked up. You know what I mean? So anyways, I was proud of myself for doing that, because I was like, I got to capitalize on like getting in the right mindset. And so I went, and I am happy I did it. But it also made me want more stuff. So you have to take it. You have to just take it in chunks.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Yeah. But it's like, I think fashion is one of those things, just like getting your nails done or getting a massage. It is a self-care moment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel completely, when I love the outfit I'm in, I feel very different.
It's a uniform.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, so I highly like, I mean, I'm not saying go in debt, but like use your credit card if you have to use your credit card for like, even if it's like $50 or $100 or something. And it's, even if it's one piece at a time, or like one piece every 3 to 4 months or something, like, I think it makes a difference. And I've been trying to sell shit on Poshmark too, that it doesn't fit me anymore. And Poshmark is stupid, and by stupid, I just mean like it takes a while for people to buy stuff. So I might just give it to Goodwill. But anyway, that was my deep dive on clothes.
Love it.
So Ron, put it on, use your gold, and go get some fucking clothes.
Yeah. Use your gold. Let's go.
So this is where Ron starts talking about how she taught him everything she knew: sex, Sunday school, math, or everything he knows. Sex, Sunday school, math teacher, and driver's ed. The way that she walks in and owns this fucking room is wild.
So many thoughts.
Yeah.
And feelings. Okay. I want to back up first.
Yes. To
the candy striper thing, because if you're a candy striper, typically you're between 14 and 16 years old. So let's put that in fucking perspective.
Yep.
Okay. That she is 30 at least, or 29, dating a 15-year-old, because he says that's when they start fucking dating. Disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's put that in perspective.
He says it was scandalous. But everyone was scared of her, so they shut their mouth.
Yeah.
I like that they explained that too.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. Because, that's really messed up. Like, jail. Straight to jail.
Straight to jail. Jail Ron.
So, but I want to take us also outside of this to the fact that this lovely woman, who I'm going to forget, Patricia Clarkson. Clarkson, thank you. Who plays Tammy 1, is actually 11 years older than Nick Offerman. But she's a year younger than Megan Mullally.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew that.
Megan looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like, holy
it's
crap.
Wild.
I thought Nick was older than her.
No, yeah, I learned that too, because like when I the only reason I know that is because and it is it's like kind of mind blowing at first, but also like when you think about it, it totally makes sense. I don't know, because the way that they talk about their relationship, it totally seems like Megan was the one that like had her shit together and knew what the fuck she was doing with like her life, kind of, and Nick Offerman was like, he knew what he was doing, but he was definitely younger and like less experienced. And just when they talk about it, and he totally owns up to that and saying like that's one of the reasons he was so like attracted to her, which is very like, I feel, similar to Ron.
Yeah.
but yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah. Cool. So anyway, now that we have that in perspective, the age shit going on, she comes into this room, and first of all, I think it's just the most badass thing that everyone's quiet, everyone's looking at her, and she starts giving out instructions, and no one really crosses her. Leslie challenges her, which is very Leslie of her, and I'm very proud of her.
Yes.
But she commands this room, which I also think is toxic.
I know, it's like a mixture of both.
Yeah, it's like, go you girl for having all this like power and everything. Yeah. But then I'm also like, it's not healthy for you as a person, anyone, to be able to walk into a room and tell people what to do, and they're automatically doing it. Not asking questions. Like, I don't think that's good either.
Yeah, totally. I was gonna say that too. That the way that each individual character reacts to her is so telling and so great writing, because it shows each person's like, I don't know, just reaction. The way that Ron stumbles on his words, everyone else like
looking down.
Yeah,
too.
totally.
No eye contact.
I have to take a picture. I have it. Wait, let me highlight this because I have so many pictures that I really. Oh, I already did highlight it. I have so many like pictures that I want to take to show exactly what I mean. Cause like when she walks in, it's like her in the doorway and then Leslie's jaw is just dropped. Andy is like scared little boy. April's like in awe, and Ron is, like you said, looking down. And I just thought it was so interesting. And she immediately cuts Leslie off, and then Leslie kind of backs down. But I had the same thought. I was like, okay, Leslie, I'm glad that you're still being Leslie. Like, okay.
Well, she comes back at her later. She does ask questions about, is that really the best idea? Because this, and this. It's very, very Leslie of her.
Totally.
I don't know if you noticed that April, when she walks into the room, she also sits up really straight.
Yeah, I did notice that because of the breast
Which is a
thing.
callback. Yeah. Callback to the breast comment. Yeah.
Great callback. And she doesn't say anything to April. Did you notice that? That was interesting.
She doesn't.
Because I guess she already did at some point, or I don't know.
I really don't know. It's fascinating.
Also, this talking head of Ron saying he only dates brunettes because Tammy is blonde and Tammy's like the blonde chicken. I thought she had red hair. Do you think she's blonde?
Tammy? Tammy what?
Yeah.
Oh, she looks blonde to me.
Okay. It looks more like a strawberry blonde, like red hints, and I don't know why my brain, my eyes are seeing it like more red than blonde. But
I mean, I can see some strawberry in there, I guess.
Maybe it is,
but it's definitely more. I wouldn't say she has red hair. I would say she has blonde hair with tints of,
tints of it. Okay.
Yeah, tints of red.
It was like a Toby from The Office kind of red hair. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, interesting. Okay.
But I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, but yes, that is really funny. He's her blonde chicken.
Yeah, which is accurate.
Which totally,
it's a very good explanation.
Great explanation. Andy says his name is Tim Buchanowski. Is that your real name?
Yeah, I love that she just automatically knows he's lying to me.
Right. Oh my God, it's so funny. And the fact that she has to check his bank accounts and needs like access to his house, like.
Red flags all over.
The reddest, crimsonest, bloodiest flag you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Also, okay, there's a deleted scene with Tammy yelling at Ron, and I am so glad they cut it, to be honest, because Patricia Clarkson like tears into Ron, and we hate her, like we don't like her, but this was like vitriol, and I was like, because now it's in the show, it's like comedy and it's still like awful, but like it was really bad. So I'm really glad that they cut it, but I'm going to play it for you. You'll see.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think if she yells too, there's so much power in the fact that she uses this tone.
Yes, that's so real.
Right? It's so powerful that she commands with that level. Right.
So true.
So you add in the screaming and it's like, well, you've kind of taken it away.
That's so real. Yeah. Okay. So again, yes, glad they cut it. Here you go.
Yeah.
But I think she's going to really help Ron.
You were the stupidest, most incompetent I've ever seen. I delivered you.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, great acting, but also no.
Oh my God, the acting was phenomenal. Yeah. If you could have seen it too, like both of them together, like it was Ron and her. Leslie had a talking head at the beginning. That's what that was. Right. And then behind her, Tammy and Ron walk out. But yeah, I watched that and I was like, oh, I'm so glad they cut that. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I think that gives you a window into potentially what their relationship looks like behind closed doors. And I don't think we need to know that.
That's real.
I think there's a lot of mystery and it's okay for us to not know.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, great. Whew, okay, that just like blew my mind when I heard that. I was like, no.
Yeah. Don't like it.
Okay, so now we get a 1 week later, like SpongeBob moment, 1 week later.
I know, which is interesting. They don't do that very often.
No, not at all. It's so fascinating. And I guess it's a Wednesday because Ron does say hump day, which is interesting because does he just come in on a Wednesday, like thinking that? I would think it would be like on a Monday that he would come after a weekend situation, but maybe it took him a while. I'm diving too deep, but
I think he took days off. That's what my brain did. Is he took the PTO he wanted, his personal days, and he he just took like a week off or something to get this stuff straight with Tammy.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. Love it. But Ron comes in whistling. Leslie has her head down and is like, "How can I help you, sir?" And she doesn't know it's him. And I love this line. "Ron, your mustache fell off."
Only episode he doesn't have a mustache in.
I know. It's so crazy to see it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know if it's my favorite line, but I think I like it.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I don't know. It's my favorite so far.
He looks and is kind of acting the way he does when he has sex.
Mm-hmm.
Like the shirt tucked in and the...
Yeah.
You know.
And it's bright. It's very bright and like striped and happy and...
Very chipper.
Oh my God, that was another question in trivia. Like, what does Ron wear when he has sex? And I was like, too easy, bro.
Yeah. Looks like Tiger Woods.
Yes. But yeah, and he's like completely changed. He's being nice to Jerry, and I love Jerry's flabbergasted response. What?
Yeah.
And the way he acts so like you are, I think what you said was accurate as far as like him acting like a child, very naive, like when he says that thing of Tammy has now moved in with me and converted my bank account to a joint account with her. And like, it's a really good idea. And you're like, what?
What?
Are you a child? Yeah. And I think he is in this moment.
Yeah.
Because he knows what a joint bank account is. He knows how bad it is. But he is so not, like you said, himself. It's so wild.
Yeah. And I think there's this beauty, right? We're far away from when Diane shows up.
Yeah.
But I think there's this beauty because each relationship, Ron is not completely himself. And I would include his relationship with Diane in that. But I would say that it's for the better. He becomes a little bit less selfish. He starts thinking about Diane and the girls. He's making decisions for a family rather than just himself. So I think it's a really good representation of how when you're in a relationship, you might not be 100% you because your relationship is asking something else of you.
Right.
And I think
but also you're growing as you.
Growing. Absolutely. I don't think it's not Ron. Right. I think he's adapting.
You're becoming the better version or the best version of yourself.
Right. And it's healthy. Yeah. Right. There's a healthiness to that.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not healthy with these other two people. Right.
Yeah.
So I think he's a kid with Tammy 1. And I think he hits his teenager, early 20s, sex crazed years with Tammy 2.
Yeah.
Is what I think it is.
That's so fascinating. Yeah. His like just classic reversion or regression rather, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's scary because we look at Ron as one of the strongest people on this show.
Yeah. I think it just goes to show also what his like main MO was. I don't know what episode it was, but it was early on when he said he's a sucker for love, a sucker for weddings. Like he just loves love. And like he's actually a big old softie. So this is like really illustrating that. It's so fascinating. Also, did you notice that April is like behind the window or like when Leslie's talking to Ron, she's like staring with her cup of coffee like this.
Oh, I did not notice
the whole
that.
thing go down. It was really funny to me.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I didn't notice that. That's funny.
Okay, so now we're seeing Ann and Chris recording the PSA if you're there.
Yes, and I like this line, make a choice, make a change. I think that's beautifully written.
I do too. I love that. And Chris is so dramatic. He like starts with his back to the camera and then turns around in this swivel. Oh my God. Did you notice Ann's outfit?
I love Ann's outfit. I love all of Ann's clothes.
Oh my God, it's so cute. Well, this one in particular to me was so exciting because like her shirt actually matches the same as her cardigan. Like it's the same pink. She has a pink stripe in her like plaid shirt that matches the pink cardigan.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, because usually it's like a mix and match. It's still obviously lovely, but this was so like coordinated. I was like, you know. I love this when Chris does his take. I mean, it seems so perfect, but then Anne has seen 800 takes of this same thing. I love that line also because I kind of feel this way when I'm self-taping, and I don't do this by any means of Chris, but let's do 1 more, then 5 more, then 20 in a row.
Yeah.
It's like, how right can we get it?
Right. Well, and I think there's a point where that's professional to want to make sure it's perfect, and then there's okay, we've crossed a line to where
yes,
we're too focused on it.
Yeah.
And that's it's concerning. And Chris kind of puts this back on her. Like, because she's like, we got it. Like we were done a while ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I'm doing this for you.
He's so manipulative. He doesn't know he's doing it, I don't think, but he's so manipulative.
No, so we have Tom being manipulative, but he knows what he's doing. And he's being a dick. Chris has a heart of gold. And I don't think he realizes he's being manipulative or what he's doing to Anne. He doesn't realize he just sucked up Anne's entire fucking day doing this. He doesn't realize that when he's saying this, he's putting back on Anne and making it sound like we're here this long because of you when she was happy an hour ago.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not, I don't like it. And I'm kind of with Anne where it's like, how did you date him?
I know. I love that turnaround though. Oh, that's why.
That's why.
We'll get there. But
yeah. Which I think can be said for anyone, right? Anyone can find the reason.
The good thing that you just
the
cling
good
to.
thing. And that's why I think a lot of people return to relationships. They see that one little sliver of good a lot. And then, so anyway.
Totally. There is a deleted scene here where Chris actually does like that 1 more than 5 more than 20 in a row. It's pretty short. I just want to play it for you.
Okay.
Diabetes can't be cured, but it can be prevented. Make a choice, make a change, and together we can make a difference. Diabetes can't be cured, but it can be prevented. Make a choice, make a change, and together we can make a difference. Diabetes can't be cured, but it can be prevented. Make a choice, make a change, and together we can make a difference.
Great.
Diabetes can't be cured.
It just keeps going on. So he really does it like 20 times in a row.
And they're not that different that you need to do it 20 times.
And that's exactly what happens with self-tapes. You think you're doing it like a different way, a different like character, different energy. And if you get so stuck in your head, you're really just doing the same shit. So just turn in one tape. You know? It's crazy. But anyway. So back at Entertainment 720, it looks like Roy Hibbert and Detlef are drinking a little tiny espresso drinks. I don't know if you noticed this. It was so cute.
Yeah.
I loved it. And Ben asks the question that we've all been wondering, like, how are you making money? And it turns out they do their own printing of their money, and they think that that is good enough.
But and here's my problem, right? You had a business plan. You had listed 20 things you were going to do. Which, too much, right? We've already discussed that piece of it. Pick just one, and you can make money off of it. Why are you printing your own money that can be used nowhere?
I know. There is, I wonder if it's here that I could play it for you, where he talks about one of the things that he does. I think it's actually later on, but I think since we're talking about it, I think I can just play it here. Hang on.
I'm lost. This whole place. I'm in 2001.
God, watch out for the stock market crash.
No, I'm in the movie 2000. It's a Kubrick movie.
A space oddity. Do you want me to tell you what we do for real?
Yeah.
Do you think you can handle it if I told you?
Yeah, I probably could.
I give it to you. You give it too hard, and you make it happen. And then it's here, and then you look at yourself, and you're like, how'd I get here? And then you know the rest. Did you guys see Smurfs?
Ben.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like you don't get our company. It's like you don't understand what we do.
You're right. I don't understand what you do. Do you understand what you do?
Of course we do. But you are a robot. You are a robot. You like math and hate sex.
Okay, guys. You know what? You guys can swagger around all you want.
And then that goes into at the end. So that wasn't technically the one that I was talking about. I guess I didn't record, but still, this makes a lot of sense. And it's so annoying. I don't know if you got as annoyed as I do listening to that, but I was just like, can you just shut the fuck up? You're talking jibber jabber, and I hate this. But I will tell you, I guess I didn't record it. The thing that I meant to say was that Tom says they actually do have they have had some clients where they do pet memorials for funerals for pets. Right. Like a little Sebastian moment. And that's, he does say they get income from that. Obviously, it's not enough to pay for all this bullshit, but that is something that they do. And that is something that was in the business plan, to your point. So they have one thing that they do, but they cut it out. So
Okay. Well, I think it's more
just
meaningful.
thought that was important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's more meaningful for them
such a
to not
mess.
do anything.
Oh, right. It's so funny to me though that like they could totally have built off that little Sebastian memorial. You know what I mean? And that's what they're kind of sort of doing, but not really. At least not from what was actually aired. But then this money button, or not money button, but the button next to the money machine turns on like the partying vibe, club
Yeah, the
vibe.
music in the background is hilarious to me.
Oh my God, it's so hilarious. And everybody just like totally drops everything and is like, yeah, let's party. It almost seems like a crack house, except for like a fancy crack house.
That's accurate though. That's true. That's very true.
Oh, anyway. Okay. Do you have anything before we move on to Ron at the City Hall?
Oh yeah, the Ben's look to camera is my favorite here too. I love this.
Oh yeah.
His little
just
like
total
after they're calling him
confusion.
baby and all this stuff. He's like,
yes. Oh, Snapple. Are we just saying Snapple? Now?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love that, baby.
Baby. Oh my God. Crazy.
But yeah, now I'm ready for Ron, and he makes me very uncomfortable. This Ron makes me very uncomfortable.
It's so weird. And when he says, "We're here to serve you, friend." Oh my God. Well, side note, this guy had a way longer scene, and I will play it for you. But this actor's name is Chuck Spittler. I didn't see a picture on IMDb, but this is him. Leopold was his name on IMDb, if anyone was interested what this citizen's name was. And he's been in American Horror Story, Glee, Ray Donovan, bunch of other things. He's also a producer too, which is cool. I did message him, and he said he's interested in sending voice memos, so hopefully we'll play that in the next episode. But there is a deleted scene, and it really reminded me of the water sprinkler lady running around Ron's desk. And I think that this scene might be cut off a little bit, but I'll explain it. At the beginning of the scene, he says he was bathing his dog in the water fountain, and the dog fell or like slipped and threw out his back, and now he's mad at the Parks Department. And that's why it reminded me of the sprinkler lady.
Yeah.
Both of those problems are totally on the citizen, not on the Parks Department. But I'll play this clip really fast.
Slipped and threw out his back. What are you going to do about it?
Oh gosh, that is terrible. I'm mortified. First of all, please let me just offer my sincere apology, and I will put in an immediate request for a fountain-shaped shower mat.
Well, that's a start. Thank you.
We're here to serve you, friend. I hope the rest of your day is cool beans.
So that's what
cool
actually
beans.
happened.
Nice.
Isn't that wild? Anyway.
Yeah.
So now Ron says he's not going to go to the Battle Royale, which he sent in a memo, which was disturbing in and of itself that he sent a memo, because he said that Tammy said it was a bad idea. Oh my. I love the slap.
Yes.
Leslie
Oh,
slaps
it's
Ron.
perfect. I think she thinks it's going to bring him out of it, and it doesn't, but I think it's great.
Well, and I just love how fast it is, too, and how much she's just like, I can't stand it anymore, you know?
Yeah. Well, because
I love it.
Here's the thing. The thing about Leslie and Ron's relationship is that they don't hardly ever agree, but they have respect for each other. And Leslie has no respect for this version of Ron.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
she's just over it. She's like, I'd rather not agree with you and respect you.
Yeah.
Like,
and then
so,
he says ouchie after the slap, which is so dumb and funny. Oh
again, a kid.
Like,
That's
who
a
is
kid.
This? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
Leslie
but it's
says
just
they're going to
so
go to lunch.
weak.
It is weak. And well, just like, yeah, it's sad. It's really sad at the end of the day.
Well, let me put it this way. If we meet a woman who is what's the word I'm looking for? Not subjective, but it sounds like that.
Submissive?
Yes. Thank you. Who is very submissive like that. Like, I have to get permission for everything. Usually the assumption is there's abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's the vibe I'm getting here, because people forget that men can be abused too. They really can. And so I think that's really the vibe, because I've met survivors of abuse, obviously, in my job. Mm-hmm. And this is very much the vibe I get from them. Yeah. Very quiet, very soft-spoken, I have to get permission for everything. It's very sad.
Yeah, it is sad at the end of the day. But Ron can handle it. Like, you're being dumb. Like, I don't know. It's probably my own, like, hatred of, not hatred, some hatred, and I'm trying to back off of that. It's probably my, like, madness at men, but, like, it's just not the same to me. Like, Ron, like, get out of here.
Well,
but I understand.
We know who
understand.
he is. Yeah, but we know who he is as a person, right? As totally. Ron, and that he's strong enough to handle this. But I think this is his person that brings him down.
Yeah.
And it's just sad to see.
It is sad. Well, and so
uncomfortable.
This is again, uncomfortable. Leslie says they're going to lunch, and again, Ron says he has to call Tammy to approve. So he's really on a leash, and Jerry's in the background just staring at him, which I think is really hilarious to me. And then this whole thing of like, now I'm in a pickle because Leslie's like, I say you can go. So, oh my god.
Which I also have problems with that because I love you, Leslie, for saying yes, you can go. He doesn't need anyone's permission. Do you want to go to lunch? Right. Go to fucking lunch.
Yeah. I think we differ on that because for me, I'm like, good for you, Leslie. Fucking drag his ass because you're his friend and he's not seeing it. So drag his ass there. But again, it's a steamroller thing. So
no,
it's hard.
And I don't think there's any problem with her dragging him to lunch. And I do agree for Leslie, like, yes, say that. But for Ron, if somebody was telling me, if I was in this position and I was asking for permission from someone else and they said, well, I give you permission, I think I would be like, I don't need anyone's permission.
Right.
I'm not trying to say what Leslie's saying is wrong. I think it's more
because if
Ron's
it wasn't
wrong.
For Tammy, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like Ron doesn't need Tammy's permission. It's not about Leslie. Ron doesn't need Tammy's. You know what I mean? Because she's the abusive one.
Right.
But yeah, and like I do love this too, where like she is trying to save him essentially, and she keeps calling it like Operation Golden Dove, or she called it something else before. Then she calls it Operation Golden Dove, and then later she has a Falcon one, which I wrote down. But she keeps changing the operation name, which I think is funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
But I love this too, this classic thing that they do in The Office that they do here, where the scene would be with like one or two people and then they zoom out and show that another person is there.
Yeah.
Like the audience didn't know, and surprise, it's Tammy. And like, it is sad now that we're talking about it, that now he's like asking to use the restroom and she says, wash your hands. Ugh, so gross.
Yeah. It's just, there's a lot of bad things going on here.
Oh my God. Well, then this is where Leslie comes in and she says, like, okay, cut the crap. Like, Tammy, is this audit even real? Which, surprise, surprise, it is not. And Tammy, too, just needed to be sure that Ron was financially set and she wants him back. So she needs to be sure that she's going to be taken care of. And first of all, that's stupid. And I get I get how stupid that is and I hate them. But I do love the way that Leslie says gold digger. She's like, you are a gold digger. Like the way she pronounces both of the D's.
Yeah.
You are literally a gold digger.
Gold digger. Yeah. and it's accurate.
It is
That's exactly what she is.
He's acquired quite a bit of gold.
Yeah. And I'm so proud of Leslie here.
Me too.
Like everybody's so afraid of Tammy 1 and she's like, screw this. I want my Ron back. And she's like, she's going for it, and I'm really proud of her for that.
Yeah, me too, and especially because like her, like you were saying, like Ron and Leslie do not agree on things, and like to have him back as regular Ron, she's going to be going through a lot of gridlock, but at least she like knows this version and like can respect that version. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think there's also a piece of it. I think 100% respecting that version, but I think there's also a piece of it where she puts her friends before her job. And this isn't good for her friend, Ron. Like,
That's
regardless of how it's going to affect work, Leslie is like, this is not okay.
Right. That's true. That's very true. Okay. Oh my God. This one also I'm glad they cut, but I call this one chokehold Ron, which is where Tammy shows even more of how much she has a chokehold on Ron. So let me just play that.
You hear this? The IRS audit is a lie. She's just here because of you and your money.
I know. She told me at the Ice Capades. And I'm fine with it. She's good for me. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we went to the Ice Capades. It was awesome.
We have another announcement, Leslie. Tell her, Ronald.
Okay. I'm quitting the Parks Department. Tammy and I are moving to Fort Wayne, and I'm taking a job at the FDA. I'm going to regulate food for the federal government.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Silence after that, because my face is just dropped. Like, what? That is so...
It's so much worse. It's so much worse.
It's so much worse. Oh my God. A part of me, it's like so fascinating to like, obviously it's not canon, I guess, but I still think like that could be a really fascinating backstory, because that's how much of a chokehold Tammy has. He's going to go work for the government, regulating one of his favorite things, food. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wild. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's
oh my God.
insane. It's insane.
And like the fact that he knows it's not real, which like, what? And so I just thought it was so fascinating from a backstory point of view.
Yeah, it's just a lot more information about the not okayness of this.
Yeah, and the emotional abuse. Yeah, and again, how much he's a kid. They went to the ice capades. That's like the motto of the thing of this episode, is that he's regressing back to when he was a child. That's so interesting, because I never really thought of it before when I was watching this. I just thought he was like whipped kind of thing, but no, this is like psychologically like terrifying.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we in a near scene, we see that at 5 he's built a chair. So I think so this is where I'm starting to piece it together in my therapy brain, that he has a mom that he has respect for, right? He still sends stuff home. He still has respect for his mom, but he didn't get the lovey-dovey upbringing that other kids probably did, right? He was had to do stuff on his own very, very early on, right? He talks earlier on in the series that he was working at like 11 or whatever and going to middle school at the same time or whatever.
Yeah.
And when he started dating Tammy at 15, she wanted to have so much control over him that he was finally able to be a kid.
Yeah.
So that now that's where we're seeing the backsliding, is back to that kid he was.
Yeah.
When he was dating her.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I didn't actually tell you about this, but I'm having this idea as I'm starting, as I'm thinking. I think that Ron and Tammy's should be split into 2 episodes, since we don't have anything for next week and for a couple of other weeks. So I might actually think that this is a nice place to pause, and by pause I mean like end this episode, and then start, because I mean I only technically have 2 more pages, but I think it might be like another like 45 minutes or so. So I think this would be a good place to end
that works.
this episode. And then we will see you guys the following week, and we'll finish this up and have a just short moment. But yeah, okay. Well, we got a lot to think about for next episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to rate and review, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
There's a Parkinson Pals, and there's also therapy too.